For me, like, I'm still 24 years old and they're some of my biggest fans, so I think anytime they get to see me compete and have fun and enjoy what I'm doing, that brings them a lot of joy too.
That has received significant attention over the past several weeks and, quite frankly, since I walked in the door here, and that's player safety resulting from online abuse.
Caitlin Clark was suddenly facing the possibility of missing a game, but then the WNBA made a decision that completely changed the situation. What looked like a routine technical foul quickly became a major talking point surrounding the Indiana Fever star, league officiating, and the WNBA's technical foul rules. Clark has become one of the most closely watched players in basketball, so whenever something controversial happens around her, it doesn't take long before fans, analysts, and social media begin debating every detail. This time, the controversy centered on a technical foul that initially appeared to put Clark at risk of an automatic one-game suspension. During Indiana's game against Chicago, Clark was assessed a technical foul following contact involving an official. Because the technical brought her total to 8, the situation suddenly became much more serious. Under the league's rules, reaching the relevant technical foul threshold can trigger a one-game suspension, meaning a call that might normally be viewed as just another moment of emotion suddenly had the potential to keep one of Indiana's biggest stars out of the next game. Clark has always played with emotion and intensity, and that competitive personality is part of what has made her such a compelling player to watch. But when a player gets close to a suspension threshold, every technical becomes more important. Instead of simply asking whether the call was justified in that individual moment, fans start asking what it means for the next game, the next week, and potentially the team's playoff push. Indiana, however, challenged the decision. The league subsequently reviewed the incident, and the technical foul was rescinded. That reversal meant Clark avoided the automatic suspension and remained available to play. For the Fever, that was obviously significant. For Clark, it meant she could put the controversy behind her and focus on basketball. But the decision also opened up a much bigger discussion. How consistent should officiating be when it comes to emotional reactions from players? Basketball is an intensely competitive sport. Players argue calls, coaches challenge decisions, and emotions can rise quickly when the game is moving at full speed. Officials have to maintain control, but players also have the right to compete with passion. Finding the balance between those two things is one of the difficult parts of officiating at the professional level. And with Clark, the spotlight is even brighter. Every reaction is analyzed, every argument with an official can become a headline, and every controversial call can generate thousands of opinions online. That's one reason the technical foul reversal attracted so much attention. It wasn't simply about one whistle. It became another chapter in the continuing conversation about how Clark is officiated and how the league handles controversial situations involving its biggest stars. Earlier in the season, another Clark-related incident created an entirely different controversy. During Indiana's matchup with Phoenix, Alyssa Thomas made contact with Clark during a play that was initially not ruled a flagrant 2. After a league review, however, the foul was upgraded to a flagrant 2, and Thomas received a one-game suspension. That decision demonstrated that the league can review plays after the game and change the original ruling when further examination determines that additional discipline is appropriate. The two situations are different, but they highlight the same important principle. The final decision doesn't always have to be the decision made in the heat of the moment. Officials have a difficult job because they have to make calls in real time, often while surrounded by thousands of screaming fans and athletes moving at incredible speed. A replay review provides something the official doesn't have during live action: time. Time to look at multiple angles, slow the play down, examine exactly what happened, and determine whether the original decision should stand. That's essentially what happened with Clark's technical. Once the league reviewed the situation, the original penalty was removed, and the immediate suspension concern disappeared. For Clark, the message was simple. The decision had been reversed, and she could move forward. But the larger question remains. Will the WNBA continue to review controversial technical fouls consistently across the league? That's something fans will be watching closely. And it isn't only about Caitlin Clark. Every player deserves consistent officiating, whether they're a superstar, a veteran, or a young player trying to establish herself in the league. If a technical foul is justified, players should be held accountable. If a technical is mistakenly assessed, there should be a mechanism to correct it. That's what league review systems are designed to do. The challenge is making sure fans understand why a decision changes. Transparency matters because when the explanation isn't clear, speculation fills the gap. And in the social media era, speculation can spread much faster than the actual facts. One clip can receive millions of views, while the official explanation might receive a fraction of that attention. That's why WNBA fans should always separate the original on-court decision from the final league ruling. In Clark's case, the final outcome was very different from what it initially appeared to be. She was not suspended, the technical foul was rescinded, and she remained available for Indiana. Now the focus can return to what really matters: basketball. Clark's impact on the Fever goes beyond scoring. Her ability to create opportunities, distribute the ball, stretch defenses, and generate attention makes her one of the league's most influential players. Indiana needs that production, especially during a season where every game can affect the standings. And Clark herself has repeatedly emphasized the importance of staying focused on her teammates and the team's goals rather than allowing outside noise to control her mindset. That's probably the biggest lesson from this entire situation. Controversy will continue to follow high-profile athletes. Calls will be debated. Fans will disagree. Social media will create narratives. But ultimately, players have to return to the court and perform. For Caitlin Clark, this particular chapter ended with the technical foul being rescinded and the suspension threat disappearing. Whether fans believe the original call was correct or not, the league ultimately reviewed the situation and changed its decision. Now the question becomes what happens next. Will Clark stay below the technical foul threshold for the remainder of the season? Will officials continue to give her the same treatment as every other player? And will the WNBA become more transparent when controversial calls are overturned? Those are questions only time will answer. One thing, however, is already clear. Caitlin Clark remains one of the most watched players in the WNBA, and every major moment surrounding her has the potential to become a league-wide conversation. The technical foul controversy may have lasted only a few moments on the court, but the discussion surrounding it became much bigger. And that's the reality of being one of the faces of women's basketball. The pressure is enormous, the attention is constant, and every decision can become a headline. But instead of allowing one controversial call to define the story, Clark now has the opportunity to do what she has done throughout her career: get back on the court, compete, and let her basketball speak for itself. So what do you think? Was the original technical foul justified, or did the WNBA make the correct decision by rescinding it? Was the league right to reverse the call? And do you think technical foul reviews should be explained more clearly to fans? Let us know your opinion in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. And if you want more Caitlin Clark news, Indiana Fever updates, WNBA controversies, player stories, game analysis, and the biggest moments from women's basketball, subscribe to Hoop Queen's WNBA. The next chapter of the season is already waiting, and if Caitlin Clark is involved, you can be sure the basketball world will be watching.